The biggest server in Age of Empires Mobile, home to 11 King Arthur players, is losing their Mightiest Empire KvK event, with the enemy kingdom in the lead by 9 billion points. I'm going to show you guys what happens when some of the strongest teams in the game have to work together to defend their Imperial city, and the brutal cross-server battles that led to one of the greatest potential comebacks of this game so far. We were matched against server 16, and at first glance we could see that they were a force to be reckoned with. These guys were stacked with a strong power average, high activity and a unified top 3. This was shaping up to be an impossible situation for us to win. Wait, hold on. If server 42 is so strong, why are they losing? Our server wanted to defend this time round, so we chose to forfeit the prep stage. This resulted in us ending the prep stage with a 9 billion point gap in their favour. This put us in a very tough spot, as we'd have to make up a massive amount of points during the war stage to get ahead and secure the win. This meant we'd have to come up with the ultimate plan to not only close the gap, but make sure we kept gaining way more points than server 16 to leave us with the win. With this, the first stage of the war begins. It was time to fight. After immediately scouting the enemy server for unprotected farms and hives, we ported in some of our strongest players to raid and collect as many points as we could before the Imperial City clash. Raiding farms of low level players was an easy way of collecting points, but on the flip side, as they were usually smaller low tier marches, they didn't give many points. Server 16 had the exact same plan as us, and had no intention of giving up their lead. They quickly pushed our weaker players that were farming, but luckily we had planned for this. We sent some of our biggest and best players to defend against their push, which resulted in an hour-long skirmish. We grouped up in front of their players from server 16 and did our best to defend our weaker alliances. A key lesson that I learned here was to avoid being baited by a weak march into trees and bushes, as they had multiple marches ready to quickly wipe me out. Back on their server, a massive front opened up between Red and O16, and we could see that server 16 were the side that were taking the upper hand in this fight. We ported some of our alliance members there to assist to make sure that we were the ones dominating the trades, as they were starting to skyrocket ahead in terms of points. A massive problem that the Mightiest Empire faced is that you could accidentally friendly fire your server's alliances, so as much as you needed to assist each other, bunching up together could result in wiping out ally marches. As there were no structures for us to capture at this point, all of the fighting took place in open fields. Now there were a few marches that did particularly well in these scenarios. Whaled Warrior Pikemen's with the Richard lead were one of them. His counter-attack skills mixed with his tankiness shined when fighting against multiple enemies in the open field. Lubu was a clear meta commander in both rallies and open field fighting. His AoE skill, one of a kind general, dealt massive damage to surrounding enemy troops. King Arthur was also a powerful asset to us, but he was limited to our Kraken players only. He was an AoE commander as well that dealt massive damage to multiple enemy troops. All of this fighting led to us taking the lead in the war stage points. However, it wasn't nearly enough to secure our win, as we were still quite behind in terms of total points. However, the server that captures the Imperial City gained 20% of the enemy kingdom's total points. Vic were our strongest alliance, so they were tasked with not only taking the Imperial City, but defending it too. To give us an edge during the defense, we knew we would need to take control of all the sacred towers, the best of these being the cavalry tower, because they would give a 20% attack and defense buff to Lubu. Vic had many powerful Lubus, so they took control of this tower and showed off how strong they were by effortlessly defending countless rallies from server 16 that were trying to take it. In the meantime, LOD and Red were dominating the open field. We were racking up a massive amount of points and preventing any commanders from approaching the Imperial City outside of a rally. Vic really showed off how strong they were. Not only did they capture the Imperial City, but they defended 3 rallies from server 16 at the same time. We had finally taken the lead in total points. To make sure we kept this lead, LOD teleported behind the enemy lines, targeting their weakest players, and used siege weapons to distract them. This helped cement our victory over server 16.